Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Marketplace Growth by Accoil. Today, we're talking about use cases, and this is something that we've touched on in earlier videos. This is detailed use cases. We're going to cover down what a use case is not, and more importantly, what makes a really good use case that can help you sell to customers and to solution partners in the Atlassian ecosystem. And with that, I'm Peter.
Hi, I'm Kate.
Today, we're going through use cases. We've got 5 things to talk about here. The first of which is designed to be comprehensive and go end to end. Got to give variations or examples to demonstrate the value of the jobs that you're helping your customers do. Give links to troubleshooting and limitations, and build out a comprehensive library. So don't just do one use case. Think about the different customers and the different workflows they can accomplish with your product. And we're also going to talk about cross-promoting with support, sales, and marketing. So that's internal stuff about how you can turn these use cases out into the marketplace, again, for customers and solution partners. Kate, I'd like you to get us going here by talking about the first one here is how do we design a use case to actually be comprehensive and not just focused on the little details of our product, but how do we make these, think about this end-to-end workflow?
Well, essentially, you think about the problems that your customers are trying to solve using your product. So, for example, at Proforma, people used to do HR recruitment, for example. So we fast realized, let's do a use case. And it was literally an end-to-end. So you've got to think more holistically and you've got to think more comprehensively.
And can you just, so when you say end-to-end and holistically, in my head, what I picture when I think about these use cases is taking a step back and saying, and we've talked about this in earlier videos too, it's like, where are they coming from and where are they going to before they touch our products?
That's right. So it's things like what the problem is. It's telling people what the problem is. It's talking about the workflow. It's talking about then including your product and how it fits in and showing them literally step by step of how your product would then be part of their process.
Yep.
That's what I mean by comprehensive.
And I think the really important thing there is when, not just how to use our product, but when you would use our product. Next up, we've got variations and examples. So
Yes.
to demonstrate and empathize with the jobs to be done.
And that's really important because it's very easy to get inside your own head and your own product. So it's very much walking in the shoes of your customers. And so showing examples and showing variation, showing complexity basically means you're actually really understanding what they're going through. And the goal for a use case or a workflow, however you want to call it, is to allow them to literally set up and use your product without necessarily even contacting you. So it's a really great way of actually giving confidence that, yes, this product helps me do my job. And yes, that means then I'll be prepared to pay for it.
Yeah. And I think one way of going about accomplishing this, right? If I bang on about this all the time, it's like you should be talking to customers. We should be talking to customers. Everyone should be talking to customers more and more and more. If you're time strapped and you have some teammates, if you're a team bigger than say 2, how are your teammates using it? And start there. And keep it inside the company. Look at actual users. I mean, it's hard to always be putting yourself in the shoe of the customers, but if you're time strapped, I would just go and talk to, like for us, I would go like see what Simon's doing, like who else can I talk to that isn't me that can show me.
And in your head.
Yeah. Get out of my own head.
Yeah.
And actually show me how they're using the product. So it doesn't have to be this huge customer research thing. That's a great, if you can do it and talk to more customers, do. But if you're strapped for time here, just see how your teammates are using it. And I'd say go from there. Next up, we've got links to troubleshooting limitations. Now, Kate, I know you're a huge fan of calling out limitations. I think it's important too, but just walk us through why that's important and what exactly do you mean by troubleshooting and limitations?
Theoretically, this should not be any extra work for you guys because your documentation should show your limitations in the troubleshooting, because otherwise they're just going to contact you or they're going to actually buy your product in bad faith. They actually think it does something it doesn't, or they hit a major roadblock, and that's the fastest way to get a bad review and to have people pissed at you. So this is about, you've already got the documentation, so just cross-reference. I'm a big fan of trying to make your documentation work as hard as it possibly can, by posting it in relevant situations. And this is one of them.
It's just being honest, right? Here's what we can do. And here's something that we don't do particularly well or at all. And I think where conversations I've had where I've proposed this as an idea of like, oh, we don't want to talk about that. To your point, it's better that they learn it from you than say a Jira admin installs your app and then they get someone internally coming to them and saying, you said it would do this and it doesn't.
Yep.
So, like what the, and so I think it's a good, honest front that you can put up about your product.
Used to get a tick for trust. They go, oh, gee, that's good.
Yeah.
You'd get a tick for trust. You're not a snake salesman. Sorry to all those snakes.
Salesperson, Kate.
Salesperson. Yes.
The next thing we have here is building out a comprehensive library. I'm sorry to say it, but once you've created one use case, you are far from done. How many did we have with Proforma?
Well, it wasn't that many. We probably had, I think, about 12. But we were building them out, and then Atlassian acquired us, so that kind of cut that one short. The reality is you get your ideas from your customers often or people just brainstorming logical situation and just use that, flesh it out and see what sort of see what sort of interest there is in your use cases.
Yeah, and we talked about this in last week's video too, a little bit in the newsletter, I think, is what kind of data do you have coming through your app? And what can you see use case wise, or I guess customer usage? What ways are they using your product? Hopefully it's how you intended, but if it's not, even better, because you get to learn new and different ways that they're using it. But that was what drove some of the use cases at Proforma, was we could kind of tease out who, and by who I mean which teams were using it. And so if you could see that an HR team was using it, you could do that brainstorming and say, here's ways that HR teams could potentially use our product. And so again, you don't have to be having those customer conversations to do it, but I think
but also the positive on all of that is your IT teams are really comfortable with Jira, and those other non-tech teams who are actually basically instructed that this is the tool, you make it easier. They go, oh, I can do that. So that's another reason.
Last thing we've got here is cross-promoting with support, sales, and marketing internally so that you can turn these things out externally and really make high use of them, again, across the marketplace. So give me an example here.
Okay, a big one. Used to love it. Watching support, an evaluator came in and you just went, tell me your use case, tell me how you want to use it. And then you could pump it back out to them and says, this will give you some ideas on how to do this. And they used to go, wow, okay, thank you.
And I got to see you do this a lot on sales calls, where you would bring those use cases in and you could see the customer's eyes light up and go, aha, I can see myself in that. It's not exactly the way that we do it, but I can see how it works. And that eval to sales ratio after we started use cases or sharing use cases definitely went on the rise, which is what everybody's aiming at.
Absolutely. You could see the JA going, oh, I can justify this cost now because this has now gone across multiple teams.
All right. So we just went through a handful of ways and reasons why use cases are helpful. If you want more details on exactly how to build these things, please get in touch with us. We're on LinkedIn. We have a newsletter at marketplacegrowth.substack.com if you want to come and find us over there. If you ask for it, we might be able to put together a graphic to show you exactly how we laid these things out step by step so that you can recreate it for your own product. Until next week, see ya.
Bye, guys. Take care.